Hi, my name's Emma, and I'm making a video on self-love, body image, and things that I've been through. I hope that you get something out of it. I'm just gonna read something that I wrote, okay? In modern times, it is almost unheard of to meet a woman who has not or has not struggled with her body image. Just knowing that we are all in this together gives me the strength to want to push through and better myself. Sometimes I think obsessive thoughts. For instance, does my stomach stick out in this shirt? Is my complexion off? But etc. But then I look at the beautiful women standing next to me and wonder what would happen if they were thinking those same thoughts. From an outside perspective, I can see that would be an utter waste of time, and they could be putting their energy to such better things. It's a lot easier said than done. I work towards progress, not perfection. The urge to change my body first emerged in kindergarten. I cannot say where it came from, as I was never told I was not good enough. In fact, I was often called adorable, yet still I felt unworthy in the body I was in. On days where I should have been playing, my friends and I were instead busy making solemn vows that we would have no cake, cookies, or ice cream for a whole week. When I think now about 5-year-old girls thinking these thoughts, it breaks my heart. I can barely comprehend that such a thing might be passing through their mind. They're just kids. But I was just a kid too. In first grade, I can still vividly remember sitting in class, feeling my eyes wander from the chalkboard to the girl sitting next to me, and comparing the size of our thighs. Why didn't I look like that, I'd wonder, jealously thinking that she was worth more as a person than me because my thighs touched and hers didn't. Let me repeat, this was in first grade. It sounds crazy now, I know. My feelings of unworthiness and the desire to be perfect progressed, and when a bout of depression in middle school led me to gain a lot of weight in a short time span, my self-esteem was at an all-time low. During this time, I had been using self-harm as an unhealthy way to cope with my depression, and my family found out. One big, messy hospital visit later, and I was now on antidepressants. They seemed to do the trick. My mind was no longer my worst enemy, or so I thought. I began to be able to control my eating, and the weight fell off. Slowly but surely, I became obsessed with losing more and more weight. The crazy thing is I was happy about all this. For years, I had dreamed of having an eating disorder, or I should be better put, what I thought an eating disorder was. I had been unsatisfied with the way I looked since a young age, and despite my best efforts, had never been able to stick to any form of diet plan or altering of my eating habits for any real length of time. Now I could. I was ecstatic. That is, until it overtook my mind. Now I knew what an eating disorder was. An eating disorder has nothing to do with how much or little one eats or what they look like. It is the thoughts that go behind. The unrelenting, insidious obsession that eventually overtakes your whole being. Having an eating disorder is like being in a mental prison. Eventually I overcame mine, and with hard work over the years have prevented it from coming back. There have been times when I have wanted to return to it, thinking that the obsessive need for control will solve my problems, but I managed to stay away. But the story doesn't end there. Around the time I overcame my eating disorder, I entered the age of sexuality. I started to realize guys found me attractive, which at first confused me because I had never viewed myself this way, always feeling less than other girls. I began to live for the attention I received and revolved my whole basis of self-worth around the validation males gave me. This continued for several years, and I thought my self-esteem issue had been cured. However, I encountered a rough situation in my life and I turned to emotional eating once more. It was not until I had gained a certain amount of weight and the attention had stopped that I realized I had been basing my self-love, which I honestly thought I had, on the opinions of others. I felt empty inside. I wasn't used to being looked at in any way other than an object, which, saying now, I'm not sure why I wanted to be looked at in the first place. To top it off, I no longer felt comfortable in my own skin. My clothes ceased to fit and I did not recognize myself in the mirror. I was not at a healthy weight. I wanted to return to a size I was comfortable with, but did not want to re-trigger my eating disorder. To do this, I had to practice self-love. First, I visualized myself happy, healthy, and strong. Then I accepted the fact that I had gotten myself into the situation I was in, and although I was not happy with the body I was in, I was still me, and I owed it to myself to love myself regardless of what vessel that pure form of self was contained in. I started making slow changes, eating healthier foods and becoming more active. Before I began seeing results externally, I began feeling them inside. I felt so much better treating my body right and began to hug my fat rolls each and every night and tell them that they would be gone soon, so I wanted to appreciate them while they were there. I changed my mindset to that of being grateful for the fact I had a working body with the ability to gain weight and access to enough food to have the luxury of putting on a little flab when many people in the world are starving. During this process, I learned something. During the previous years, when I was what society deemed attractive, I had not been treating myself with respect and therefore did not feel I deserved it from others. I let others use me and felt that since they wanted to use me, I was worthy. Once I started respecting myself, I began to feel that I deserved respect from others. I was still overweight, but it no longer bothered me. In fact, I felt more confident and in love with myself than I ever had in my life. I was working on bettering myself each and every day, not just physically, but mentally and spiritually as well. When I indulged my cravings, which believe me did come up, I no longer felt the need to beat myself up for them, because I knew I was working on myself, and eating a sugary treat now and then did not change that fact. It is now months later, and I can proudly say that I am healthier and happier than I have ever been in my entire life. I haven't gotten to where I want to be, which is the best version of myself, spiritually, mentally, and physically as well. But I am well on the way, and I am in no rush to get there. Sometimes I still get obsessive thoughts, wondering if I look all right and wishing I had no stomach pudge or arm flab. But then I look at the beautiful women I see around me and wonder if they were thinking the same thing. From an outside perspective, I could see that they could be putting their energy to such better things, and that they are beautiful even though they may not see themselves that way. I no longer feel like the empty little girl I used to, striving to be somebody else's version of perfection. I can now proudly say I have self-love. Cool. So, that was a video I made. I'm getting used to lighting and tone. I'm getting used to. I'm a noob, but I was just trying to get a message out there, and I hope that you heard something. It's a struggle, but I feel like it's worth it, and I've grown a lot, and I don't know anyone that can't relate to some feeling of, self-esteem. It's rough. Mine's pretty good, but I've had to work on it, and you can do it. And, I've been underweight to the point where I didn't get my period. I've been, overweight to the point where the doctor said, you're overweight. And, none of that really changed how I felt about myself. I had to change how I felt about myself, and I just feel really good. And no matter where you are, life's beautiful, and I just wanted to spread some love. So, yeah, that's honestly my experience.